Hey guys, today we are at Oberland Station and we're going to be building a Minuteman Barracks and Armory. This is going to be the first structure built here at Oberland and it turned out really well. Uh, I'm just super happy with the way this looks and I can't wait to share it with you guys. So let's get started, shall we? So for today's build, I'll be using a mod I haven't used before. It's called Box Houses, and basically it gives you a new tile set, which allows you to construct train cars as well as shipping containers, and basically works just like any of the other tile sets in the game. You put down the floors, you can add the walls and the ceilings. They happen to be box cars or shipping containers, and I figured Oberland was a good place to use this. Basically, it exists between two different depots where they have a lot of shipping containers. So I figured, the Minutemen could drag the shipping containers here, construct what they need out of them. They could use them for storage, and I thought it just fit into the world really well, especially at this particular location. So you can see here, basically just putting down the floor to get the basic layout of the building, and then we'll build up from here. And I'm actually going to add a little bit to this. Since I haven't used this mod before, there was quite a bit of trial and error here. And then especially with the building, I wasn't exactly sure what I was going to build and, what it was going to end up looking like. So I am really happy with the way it turned out, though. So you can see here, I have majority of the bottom put together already. I did add one room here in the front. I am going to have to close that off. And we're definitely going to have to add some other kind of textures to this. I'm thinking wood, just to, have a little contrast with all the steel that's already here. It is going to end up looking a little boxy, but, that's what you get with square building blocks. Now it's time to cover up the workshop. Basically, I just built a shipping container without a floor, and then I'm going to use the pillar here to put it over the top of the workshop. Keeps it out of the way, and I don't know. I always felt that having the same workshop in every single settlement, it just looks, I don't know, it looks off. So I usually try to hide them in most of the settlements. And you can see there, that did a pretty good job. Wow, that original building that was in this settlement, super crooked. You can really see that right there. Yeah, for whatever reason, the roof didn't get selected when I selected all, so luckily it's really easy to just pop it back on. Now it's time to break up the texture a little bit and add a bit of wood. You can see there I'm using the ashtray to select all, and the nice thing about the ashtray is it snaps to the floor, so anything you want to be, sitting on top of the floor, using the ashtray is really good. Again, it just snaps to the floor. It makes placement really easy. And the wood, wooden structure sticking out from the boxcars should make this a little bit more interesting to look at. It was starting to look a little boring having just all of these boxcars stacked on top of each other. Plus, I figured, wood is going to be a fairly plentiful resource, and so there's going to be a lot of structures that are going to be able to be built out of it. I think we're still going to have to add a bit more wood just to break that up a little bit more. Now, I could not get this wall to snap onto that floor for some reason. Probably, well, obviously it's interfering with the building there. But luckily, the ashtray works really well for getting that into place. Again, it snaps to the floor, so it makes it nice and even. So I'll still be able to get a roof on here without any clipping, which will be nice. And this little room here, in between that building, I kept falling off. I gotta get some railings on there. So this little room here is going to be the entryway for the officers' quarters, which I think looks really nice. You'll see that here in a little bit. Sweet. And even breaks up the roof texture a little. Now, before we get to the tour, I just wanted to show off a little bit of the, little wood bits that I added on to kind of help break up the texture a little further. Um, it also covers up the gaps. You can see the ground here at Oberland is not even. There's basically a farm texture on the ground, which kind of elevates everything up a little bit. So putting little bits of railing, and I'm going to use some junk fences along the sides. You can see there on the left side I added a half wall just to the side of the shipping container there, just to kind of break it up a little bit. It makes it, I don't know, there's just too much. Wow, even with the jetpack, cannot jump over that thing. Jeez. Yeah, it just breaks up the textures a bit, and I don't know, it makes it look a little bit more interesting. Again, I know I say that a lot, but it's I don't know, I think it's important that it doesn't all look the same. So adding little bits of wood there kind of helps. And again, it covers up the gaps too. I use this same technique for majority of the gaps underneath, even on the back side there. So I didn't bother showing all of it, but I thought this was interesting enough that I wanted to show it off before the tour. You can see there, just use the pillar to sink it as low as you need to get it, and then it just goes right into place. Add some barrels for a little bit of light, and I might overuse those barrels, but I really like them. They actually come in the Homemaker mod in the lighting section. That's another great mod, by the way. Yeah, you just pop them right in place, sink them down as you need, and you're good to go. So here we go with the tour, and I do realize I neglected to show you guys how I built that doghouse. It's basically just a wood wall that has a roof on it, and I just sunk it with a pillar. And then there's a dog bed mod that pairs well with that. I'll link those in the description. So you can see there, got some Minuteman propaganda signs up. That comes from the Minuteman Morale Pack by Evil Viking. And in this first container, power armor storage. I figure, Minutemen are going to find power armor. If the Sole Survivor finds it, the Minutemen will find it, and they'll fix it up, and, that's their tank, basically. They can use to defend this settlement if they ever need to. And here we are at the armory. Of course, we have the Minuteman on guard at all times. And here we go with some ammo. Those are actually from Do It Yourself. That's a great mod. And of course your laser muskets and other weapons there on the wall. Institute pistol at the end. And of course more propaganda. And a cart full of weapons. This turned out really well. I'm super excited to finish this settlement here at Oberland. Now here we have our workshop area, and you can see here just got a lot of clutter there in the back, some tools here on the wall, and I love that Mr. Handy box. That's just, I don't know, that's one of my favorites. And just, various tech and different, scrap that they've been able to scavenge. Now, I do have another Minuteman build over at Red Rocket, which is totally dedicated to scavenging. This one here is going to be more of a fort, supply depot type thing. Now, those mini workbenches come from a mod called Creative Clutter. It's great. I'm able to fit 2 different workbenches on one little space. In particular, that workshop area, I think, is probably one of the better areas in this build. And here we have the entrance to the barracks. And I wanted someone with a clipboard here, and I believe the only merchant that does that is the clinic. So you can also, buy some medicine and chems here. I got some more do-it-yourself shelves there. And of course, more Minuteman propaganda. And we have a storeroom. We have some water barrels there, and chems, of course, some foodstuffs, and looks like some barrels of beer and fresh fruits. You know, just the basics. And of course, we come up to this landing here, and I figured, you know, the Minutemen would, when they scavenged different posters and whatnot, they would bring those back and kind of make the place a little more lively. Not so drab and boring. Got a little ham radio here so we can communicate with the castle, write down any messages or orders coming through. And here we have the main sleeping area. Now this can only hold 4 people. These bunk beds come from Thematic and Practical, and they actually work as 2 beds, whereas the default beds, I believe, in Vanilla do not. And here we have some personal effects. Looks like some holotapes and some magazines. That's a chemistry station there from Creative Clutter. Now, I'm not sure what mod conflict I have that does that flashing light, but I'll get that sorted out. Now, that little box there is it's a cool little mod. It actually closes the door for you. I hate having open doors all throughout the settlement, so that little thing takes care of that for you. Here we have a little seating area on this balcony. It's going to have a nice view of the settlement, you know, once there's actually a settlement here. And now we move on to the officer quarters. So it's a little more private, a little bit fancier. Got a nice chair to sit in, some food laid out, of course a little bit of whiskey. And then, you know, another station over here. We actually have 2 officers in this bunk. You can see it's a little cramped, but they have definitely their own personal space. Their own private storage, and of course patriotic artwork. Looks like this guy here does love his chems. Not too much. Mentats for, you know, better intelligence, and of course some buff out. And a little bit more artwork on the wall. Here we are back at the landing, heading on up to the roof. And you can see here that brings us out to a nice little relaxation area. You got some beer and some food laid out for when soldiers are off duty. Got a nice view to look at as well. A little bit of storage over here. Those barrels actually produce water. They're from passive water resources. Pretty nice. You don't have to have loud water purifiers all around. This guard here has a nice view of the entrance. Little sandbag protection as well. And of course over here we have some ammo laid out, as well as a little area to tinker. You got a little bit of tech. And of course, you know, mini nukes. You gotta have mini nukes. And, you know, more sandbags, another guard station over there in the corner. And of course, relaxation area again. A little bit of tea and a checkers board. I really like setting up those checkers boards, so you're probably going to see more of those in my settlements. Then of course we have some Nuka-Cola Quantum and ammo, a little bit of jet for combat, and this guard keeping an eye on that facility over there. I really enjoyed putting this build together. It turned out quite a bit different than what I thought I was going to build, but it looks great. If you thought, you know, I could do something differently, or you just had an idea for something for me to add, go ahead and leave a comment. If you enjoyed the video, go ahead and leave a like. Subscribe if you want to see more. I should be at Oberland next, or possibly back to Starlight. Yeah. I look forward to seeing you guys in the next video. And until then, enjoy your time in the Commonwealth.